And here I'm back. I'm back after a couple of weeks off.
The Loosey Goosey chimes.
And this is the Top 40 Timeline video portion. We have the radio show, of course, all over the world too. What?
It was different doing it with Mandy.
Well, thanks for filling in there, guys. And my sister's better, Avril.
A lot of estrogen.
I love my sister. She's back home now, and
good news. Hi, Avril. Good to hear you're home.
Yes.
Thank you.
I'm just so happy.
She's been kind of like my mom. She's the matriarch of the family. You know what I mean? And we love her, and she's back home. So that's all cool. But let's get on with the show.
We've got
the top 40
of trivia for you.
Lots of stuff. Lots of good stuff.
The timeline this week, and we're brought to you by Radio GTA.
That's right, Canada's Mix, and everything from the 60s to today.
FM 108.
FM 108.ca, our two stations. Of course, we have Halton Hills Online as well.
Yep.
And the GO Train.
Yeah.
There's the GO Train there. This is, by the way, we're in Acton, Canada, folks, and we have what's called a GO Train here, and the whole town of Acton stops when the GO Train comes through.
Literally, yes.
Nobody can get through for several minutes, and I think that guy on the horn lays on it, doesn't he? He knows what he's doing. He's playing with all the
But he kind of have to, given what their rules and restrictions are. When you're coming to intersections like they have across,
and this is a highway. This is Highway 7 here, so
True.
It's a major route coming through, and we're at Lee's Garage in Acton, Ontario, like Big Daddy said, and we do a jam here every Friday night as well, right after this video. So we got to get moving along.
And the radio show, of course, is heard all over the world. A wee tidbit to kick us off here. In 1990, unhappy with the reissue of the single Sally Cinnamon, the Stone Roses trashed their former record company Revolver FM's offices and threw paint over cars. The band were arrested and charged with criminal damage. And that happened after the WKRP episode of
it did.
What were they called there? Scum?
Oh, Scum of the Earth.
Scum of the Earth. Remember that? Jesus. John Bon Jovi's first concert was Rush. First concert he ever went to. Rush, Hart, and the Doobie Brothers in a high school football field in Erie, Pennsylvania.
I got goosebumps on that one.
There you go.
Seriously, look at it.
Rush, Hart, and the Doobies together.
Yeah.
Imagine that.
What a show. My God. Wow. All right, 1970.
So, 1970. A free concert in Chicago becomes a riot when fans pelt the stage with rocks and bottles before Sly and the Family Stone, who were infamous for not being there on time or at all.
I know.
Before they go on. So the band titles their next album, There's a Riot Going On. Chicago has been a flashpoint of civic unrest, especially in 1968 during protests at the Democratic National Convention. The free concert is part of a series set up by the city as a good faith offering. The show is scheduled to start in Grant Park at 4 p.m., but fans show up early in the morning, and many start drinking early in the morning. By showtime, about 35,000 are already in the audience. Many are inebriated, and all dealing with the oppressive heat. Sly and the Family Stone have a history of missing shows, but they're present for this one, waiting to go on after the opening acts. Most of the crowd, though, doesn't know there are opening acts, and many expect another no-show from the band. So when an unknown group called Fat Water takes the stage at 4:15, the crowd grows restless, and rumors circulate that Sly and the Family Stone are not coming.
Oh, boy.
When Fat Water finish their 3-song set and the next act, the Flying Burrito Brothers appear on the stage, and the crowd hurls projectiles at them, inciting a riot that leaves 162 injured, mostly police officers. The riots spread to nearby areas with cars set on fire and stores looted. Unlike previous riots in the city, this one isn't motivated by race or politics. It's just a dumb misunderstanding. Sly Stone wanted to take the stage to quell the violence, but the mob had disabled the sound system and was already out of control. The next year, the band released their next album and titled it There's a Riot Going On, in reference to this disastrous concert that they never even got to play after all that.
They didn't even get on stage, so.
I can relate to Sly and the Family Stone stiffing people on shows, because I went to Hamilton Place to see them and they never showed.
Yeah, they were known for
years
that.
ago. That was in the
unfortunately.
80s.
That blows me away.
I'm surprised they ever sold tickets because of that reason. You
Yeah.
know?
That was back in the 80s when I had hair and a waistline, but it was, you know, I mean, he's
Or
too
no
old to-
waistline.
That's right. But no, I had a waistline back then, but I don't have one anymore. But what I'm saying is he's always been that way.
Yeah.
I've never seen an interview where I could really understand what the hell he was talking about. either.
James Brown was a lot like that as well. There were a lot of problems with him as well over the
Which
years.
surprises me
My way or the
because
highway.
Sly Stone used to be a disc jockey in Southern California. And all of a sudden, if you go on YouTube and look for an interview with him, it's very hard to find something where he's not babbling on about some.
Oh, you know what? When I'm doing the history and trivia, some of the things I come across, it's like it's constant arrests, charges, jail.
Yeah.
I mean, he was always there was always something legal with that guy.
Back to 1973, thousands of people hit Watkins Glen, New York for the Summer Jam. One day before the music festival is scheduled to even begin, the crowd is already so large and, ruckus.
They were wanting to make one anyway.
That the band turned their sound check into a mini set. The Allman Brother Band also follows in a similar character by rocking through One Way Out and Ramblin' Man. The Grateful Dead come next with a 2-set explosion, and the impromptu jam tires them all. And the next day they all scramble psychedelics with 2 long sets. Psyches with 2 long sets as well. So
it was a while. 73. Weird stuff going on then. A weird tidbit here, Kylie Minogue's first concert was Culture Club in Melbourne, Australia, when she was 14. Did I tell you about my friend Kenny? He actually dove out of a driving car because Karma Chameleon came on the radio back in the 80s. He actually did that, and he's going to kill me for mentioning it because I never forget to mention that. Once a year, and I just mention it.
It's funny. It's a commonality, I think, with most artists. The majority of musicians, their first concerts were 14.
Yeah.
A lot of them, yeah.
It was with me too, though.
Same here. Yeah.
So, you can kind of relate to that.
Here's one for you. In the late 50s, record producer Sam Phillips sold Elvis Presley's recording contract to RCA for $35,000. He invested a large part of the money, in an early stake of the Holiday Inn chain of hotels. And I'll leave you with this one. We all remember this. In 1750,
You do.
John Sebastian Bach died at the age of 65. So there you go.
Yeah, I saw him in concert. It was awesome.
Who? Bach?
Yeah.
My God.
I saw the recording that he took at that time.
Must have been like 1748, somewhere around there.
Did you ever get a selfie with him?
Previous life.
Could you imagine?
1971, George Harrison releases his song Bangladesh, which brings attention to the refugee crisis in that country. He performs it 3 days later at the concert for Bangladesh, the first major rock fundraiser. Oh, actually, that was from you. You kind of jumped.
Take the next one.
George Harrison releases his song in 1971. Oh, I already did that one. 1979, after a show in Cleveland, Joe Perry quits Aerosmith when he gets in a screaming match with Steven Tyler. He is replaced by Jim Crespo, but joins the band in 1984.
And they've
Wow.
been together ever since.
Yeah.
So they have.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know that.
I didn't know
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know that. So, 1987, Ice-T album Rhyme Pays becomes the first hip-hop album to get a warning label for explicit lyrics, and it's very explicit, people. I must admit that.
Ice-T.
I'll take this one, too. 1987, the Beatles, along with Yoko Ono, sue Nike for using Revolution in a TV commercial. Nike authorized the song
Many commercials. Many commercials.
Oh, yeah. Nike authorized the song through the group's U.S. label, Capitol, and Michael Jackson, who owns the publishing. Nike doesn't back down and continues running the ads, which angers many Beatles fans and sells a ton of sneakers. And the suit is later settled out of court for an undisclosed amount.
Wow.
So, well, that
Another
was it.
story.
The
I hadn't
Beatles
heard
didn't
that
own
one
the-
either.
They didn't own those rights anymore. Michael Jackson had bought those. So,
Yeah.
if he gives the okay, then they're allowed to use it.
That's right. 2016, Marianne Elon, the subject of Leonard Cohen's song So Long Marianne, dies at the age of 81. And before her death, Cohen sent her a letter that read in part, Know that I am so close behind you that if you stretch out your hand, I think you can reach mine. Cohen joins her death in November 7th. So there's
They were only a few months apart.
that's right. I'll do one more here. ABBA songwriters Benny Andersson and Bjorn Ulvaeus have only allowed 2 acts to sample their music. The Fugees used part of The Name of the Game on their 1996 track Rumble in the Jungle, and Madonna featured Gimme, Gimme, Gimme in her 2005 hit Hung Up. That's one of those forgettable Madonna songs. You want to do one more? Oh, thank you. 1983, Morrissey, of the Smiths, was quoted as saying, I was there where other songwriters I couldn't claim kinship with, but there is no one I consider myself, what is that? But there is no one. Okay, let me read this again. Morrissey of the Smiths was quoted as saying, I wish there were other songwriters I could claim kinship with, but there is no one I consider myself to be a genius. Wow.
That's Morrissey, though.
Yeah.
He's very confident.
Oh, sure he is. He has to be.
Little ego. Little ego.
Yeah.
1964. After an intense search, the bodies of Jim Reeves and Dean Manuel were found in the wreckage of an aircraft. And at 1 p.m. local time, radio stations across the United States announced Reeves' death formally. The single-engine Beechcraft Debonair aircraft with Reeves at the controls had crashed 42 hours earlier during a thunderstorm. Thousands of people traveled to pay their last respects at his funeral 2 days later. The coffin, draped in flowers from fans, was driven through the streets of Nashville and then to Reeves' final resting place near Carthage, Texas.
He had a wonderful voice, that guy.
Oh, yeah.
Incredible voice.
One of those.
Set a
And
pipe
Dean
from that
Manuel
guy.
played, was it bass, or he was one of the musicians, I believe.
Yeah. Well, I think he played on the recordings and stuff. I think he was the musician.
The recording, yeah.
From what I understand. 1969, Wet Dream by Jamaican reggae singer Max Romeo entered the UK single charts, and the song gained notoriety due to its lyrics, which were explicit in sexual nature, and it was banned by the BBC and pretty much most of the radio stations.
The BBC would do some banning, really?
The BBC banned Monster Mash, for Christ's sake.
I know.
Can you see us on the BBC?
Monster Mash.
We would have been banned after the first show.
would have been banned the first 5 minutes into the show.
But it only made the songwriters more money and Bobby Pickett more money.
Well, it did, because they went into other markets.
In 1973, it was a hit in England.
Yeah.
But when it was originally a hit in the early 60s in England, Britain was a very different place than what it is now.
Oh, yeah.
It was controlled by the BBC, and then the pirates came. You wouldn't have had the Beatles or the Rolling Stones without pirate radio from the UK, man.
That's right.
It's so important in rock history. You got to remember that.
Big time.
But yeah, so that's the story there.
I'm going to take the next one. 1983, Motown bass player James Jamerson dies at the age of 47 from a host of ailments, including cirrhosis of the liver, heart failure, unheralded during his lifetime. He had to buy a ticket just to see the Motown 25 special. Jamerson was later recognized as an integral part of the Motown sound. And in 2000, he's inducted to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Can you imagine he had to buy a ticket to go to Motown 25, and yet there he is in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? Just shows you the times, eh?
Ridiculous.
Crazy.
2000, Liverpool music store Rushworth and Draper closed down after 150 years of trading. The store had become famous after supplying the Beatles and other Liverpool groups with musical instruments. Wow. 2004, Eric Clapton bought a 50% share in Cordings to save the historic Gentleman's Outfitters from closure. This is one I didn't know. The store, based in London since 1839, had run into financial difficulties. The guitarist said he had been fond of the shop since a window display caught his eye when he was 16 and had become a regular shopper there. Cordings was the originator of the covert coat and the Tattersall shirt, and made riding boots for the Queen Mother, the Duke and Windsor, and Mrs. Simpson. So there you go.
That's not a relative of Bart.
No.
I was going to say Homer's wife?
No.
No
Mrs.
relative to
Simpson.
Bart.
Never mind.
Foo Fighters drummer Taylor Hawkins was the touring drummer for Alanis Morissette on her Jagged Little Pill and Can't Not tours, and appeared in the videos of You Ought to Know and You Learn. And that was actually his stepping stone into the music world. She brought him in and he just blew up from there.
Oh, absolutely, he did.
And
Totally.
We miss
Yeah.
you, brother. Miss you big time, brother.
Beck's first job was a YMCA ID photographer.
That's an interesting one.
I know, isn't it? I'll just do
Can't
the
make
last
that.
one.
Some stuff you can't make up, you know. We can't
I'll
make
do
it
the
up.
last one. And actually, it's interesting. This is a picture I got with David Lee Roth that I put with this. David Lee Roth's first concert was Humble Pie, supported by Slade.
Now you see,
But you should see the picture that I put up. If you haven't seen it, look at it. Short hair, dark hair.
Yeah.
And it's like, it doesn't even look like it does in the eyes, but I mean, it doesn't even look like him.
well, Slade were huge in the UK.
Huge.
Absolutely
Australia, too, as
massive.
well. Huge
Around the
in
world.
Australia.
They didn't do well here. They didn't even.
No.
Well, I think they charted a song in the 80s.
I was going to say, they were a one-hit wonder in the 80s.
Back in the 70s, man, they were the kings.
Yeah. I know the one you're talking about.
They were, yeah.
Yeah.
But they had Goodbye to Jane and.
Well, a lot of it was because they had to sound like AC/DC.
Yeah.
They were very similar sounding to AC/DC.
Well,
But
Naughty
AC/DC
Holder's amazing.
was getting so huge here.
Yeah.
Everybody went, well, why do we want to listen to those guys? They're not as good. Well, but they were good. I love Slade stuff.
I'm a big fan of
Big,
Slade.
yeah, big time.
Dave Hill, the drummer. I saw a picture of him the other day. God bless you, buddy. He's still out there doing it. And 1971.
I'm doing it until the day I die. So that's my turn.
Well, that's everybody has their passion, right?
Oh yeah.
It could be the clarinet, could be the drums, could be radio, could be taking the dog for a walk. You got to do what you got to do.
And what you love.
1971, Paul McCartney announced the formation of his new group Wings with his wife Linda and former Moody Blues guitarist and singer Denny Lane. I think McCartney really almost passed his what he did with the Beatles with Wings.
Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Almost, not quite, but he had some huge hit. Band on the Run.
Live and
Oh,
Let
he had
Die.
many.
Live and Let Die, Good
You know,
Night
like-
Tonight. Just so many
You know, a
classics.
bunch of his tunes have been covered by so many bands as well. So that just shows, because to me that's a form of flattery, right? Like when they do that. So.
Yeah, McCartney is remarkable because of what he did and stands out with the Beatles, even over Lennon, because of what he did with Wings as well.
Yeah.
If you look at the whole thing there, John kind of drifted off, came back, but McCartney was always there.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying he's the best Beatle, I'm saying he's the most prominent
but, yeah.
in history. Listen to What the Man Said is my favorite song of all time. One of them. I just love when that song comes on, I crank it.
He says,
Oh, here we go. Earworm. 1986, I'll do one more. The news of the world breaks the story. The Rolling Stones bass player Bill Wyman, 49, is dating Mandy Smith, 16, and that they had been together since she was 13. No charges are pressed against Wyman. And in 1989, the couple gets married in a union that lasts less than a year.
Shocker. He knew it wasn't going to last, though.
She got her money.
He tried.
Yeah.
He tried. 1987, Def Leppard released their fourth studio album, Hysteria, which became their best-selling album to date, selling over 20 million copies worldwide. The title of the album was thought up by drummer Rick Allen, relating to his experiences during the time of his car accident and the worldwide media coverage that followed. 2002, after an absence of 37 years, Bob Dylan returned to the Newport Folk Festival, now known as the Apple and Eve Newport Folk Festival, where he performed a 2-hour show of 19 songs wearing a false beard and a wig. Have you seen those pictures? Like you cannot not know it's fake.
Exactly.
The beard, it's just kind of scruffy looking.
It's like
but
when you're looking at some guy with a really bad toupee. You can just tell it's not real. Dude.
No.
Like
It
Howard,
it was awful.
Howard Cosell had the worst
Oh.
toupee.
I am Howard
did.
Cosell.
I mean,
I'm
you remember the
standing
time
here with Muhammad Ali.
And remember the time Ali went like that and knocked it off right in the
I
middle of the
think I do.
broadcast.
I think
I
I
do
do
remember that.
actually.
Yeah, but those two loved each other. It was just.
Oh, they were.
Oh God, I miss him. Howard was so talented at what he did.
He
and
just had that.
class.
I tell
Yeah,
you,
you tell
it is
you,
Howard
that's the
Cosell,
way I think.
and it is going to be the fight of the century.
That's very good, man.
Oh God, yeah.
I miss Howard.
Keith Moon was set to have a part, and I didn't know about this, in Monty Python's film Life of Brian, and was with the Python members in the Caribbean as they wrote the script for the movie. But Moon died before it actually started filming, and the published edition of the screenplay of Life of Brian is dedicated to the Who drummer, and that was a sad day.
Do you know who I think he would have been? Is that guy in the with the long hair in the pit that said
He'd be
Jehovah?
a-
He'd
Jehovah,
be the crazy
Jehovah.
one. Let me tell you, he'd be the
Guy
crazy
was
one.
mental, big. I'm one of my big heroes, and I was so glad because I got to see him the year before he died, and
lucky.
I got to see him live, and I was backstage, so I got to see like everything, and it was just that's what got me hooked. That was what put me into it.
Well,
I'll do this last one,
Yeah.
this little one here. Scott Staps from Crete. His first job was a cook at TGI Fridays.
Really?
It's always interesting to see what they did before. Nobody sees them as anything but these
That's
great
right.
artists, right?
Yeah.
So it's kind of neat to see their first jobs.
But as a musician, we still always got to work and have a job
Gotta
and
pay
do
your
something
bills.
until that day happens where you go, I'll sign here and you give me a big
Well,
check.
and I mean, I put up a meme a couple of days ago, if you didn't see it, and there's a man and a woman standing, I'm assuming owners of an establishment where they had a band come, and there's this huge stack that's about 4 feet high by 4 feet by 4 feet of money on a skid.
Right.
And they're looking at it and go, yeah, but we still have to pay the band member $100 each. And I'm thinking,
Yeah.
I had to
saw
post
that.
that because
Yeah,
that is
I saw
it's so
that.
true, eh? When you go to bars and stuff,
Yeah.
what you get versus what you're worth is.
Well, the wonderful thing about music, in my opinion, is especially if you guys jam together, which must be just heaven if you're a musician. I'm not, but I can imagine it must be. When you're really getting into the groove with the other guys, there's nothing quite like that feeling, right?
You guys were here last week, and how did the kids enjoy it?
Absolutely wonderful.
Okay.
They loved
Yeah,
it.
there you
My
go.
daughter likes live music, and she wants to come back, but she's somewhere tonight.
There you go.
And Christopher was happy about it too. Yeah.
Get out and support wherever you are in the world.
Local music.
Support your local music. There are a ton of musicians around you and you don't even know.
That's right.
Well, and I think even though we talk about the money, really, you need it to live. But really, when you're a musician, and I haven't been it like you have been, but through the course of it, the biggest payment is the passion of what you do, and when it's returned from the people that are watching you, that is everything.
When the audience reacts to what you're doing,
Yeah.
it is the ultimate high.
Well, you can't get a high bigger than that.
No.
I remember doing radio road
Great
shows
fantastic.
back in the
It's
old
hard.
days and playing dances and just getting right into the crowd. Your feed, like there's an energy you can't see
No.
that just
Exactly.
fills your soul. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Like when you look at some of these performers, like Tom Jones, for instance. When that guy's singing, nothing else matters. You know what I mean? And when he does a live concert, I've seen him a couple of times. He is a part of the audience as well.
Oh, yeah.
He just melds right into it.
It's not easy being a front man.
Yeah, but you can tell that he's just glowing up there. He loves it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
What are you trying to do?
There you go.
Absolutely nothing.
How much time we got
apparently.
left? I have no idea.
We got a few minutes left, not much. We can finish these
We've
stories
about-
off,
we've
and I
about
got to get going
10.
myself, too. So
We got 10 minutes to go.
I don't know why it's doing this.
All right, so Hans Christian Andersen dies of liver cancer at the age of 70. His stories inspired songs by Kate Bush and Sinead O'Connor. And there's
just lost. Yes.
now there's another,
Sad loss. Yeah.
she was a
unfortunately, lot of
tormented
mental
soul,
health problems there
sweet
as well.
lady that was tormented.
Yeah.
Well, and it doesn't happen back in the day being a bisexual woman.
Yeah.
That in itself, back in that day, was a very challenging thing because it was not accepted at all.
Yeah.
For guys or girls. It was not accepted. And everybody was in the closet, and I think that didn't help with the
She was
mental health
abused
either.
as a child too, so.
Well, there was many things.
Many
but
things.
But she was a sweet lady.
1957.
So the Elderly Brothers perform "Wake Up, Little Susie, Wake Up" on the Ed Sullivan Show. It is one of the more controversial songs ever played on the show, and there are some questions as to what Susie and her date were doing before she fell asleep.
They were having soda. They
were
having
singing.
They were having soda
singing.
and singing.
You didn't
and,
say what they were singing, but they were
We're
singing.
going to stick to that story.
They were. There was no alcohol involved, no sex involved whatsoever.
I'll do one more and we'll go and we'll pass over here. 1958, Bobby Darin has his first hit as Splish Splash, I Was Taking a Bath. Reaches number 3 in America. The song is later used on Sesame Street as a way to encourage kids to get in the tub.
Can I say something about Bobby Darin? Seriously, he was the greatest entertainer in the world. He turned on. He could rock and he could do the ballads. He could do the live shows, and he was taken way too early in life.
Didn't he actually hit his own radio station too? Did he not?
I'm not sure.
Like it was like I think it was Bobby that kind of set up a little radio station before he passed.
I think I remember hearing
I
something
think
about
so.
No.
1964, the Kinks release You Really Got Me in the UK with a distorted guitar sound accompanied by taking a razor blade to an amplifier, and it becomes their first hit, spending 2 weeks at number 1 on the UK roster.
One of the few songs where I prefer the cover version.
What?
By Van Halen.
Oh, did an amazing
Yeah,
job
that
with
was
But
amazing.
I'm not saying not to take anything away
Eddie
from
Van
the
Halen
originality of
going
the
crazy
Kinks,
on the
but
guitar.
that's
Yeah,
a great
yeah, I
song
gotta
too.
agree.
But
I'm not a huge
when
Van Halen fan,
man, I'll tell you, there's another song you turn up when you hear Van Halen or the Kinks. You just crank it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, actually, I was at a party a couple of weeks ago, and it was just a bunch of guys jamming, and this kid gets up, and he could play Van Halen perfectly.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I got to play Van Halen.
Well, that's your band, right?
Oh, my main band, yeah. I got to play their
Oh, sorry.
3 or 4 of their songs
Tap
that
the
I haven't
microphone.
played in 25 years, and it all came right back.
Yeah.
Boom! It was instant. Even he turned to me and went, nice.
You can tell the supergroups by they have their own sound. You two have their own sound. The Moody Blues, the Beatles, the Rolling
Zeppelin.
Stones,
ELO
Led Zeppelin,
Zeppelin,
Pink
yeah.
Floyd. They have their
Led Zeppelin.
own sound. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's how you. And with Van Halen, had their own sound, man.
They all did.
Unmistakable.
Back in the
Unmistakable.
60s, 70s, in my opinion, 80s, but more I'd say 50s, 60s, 70s, with the change up of styles of music and the way it really
The growth
blossomed.
of music,
But
it
it
did,
was
yeah.
you could list, like I said, I used to sit and dissect the instruments in all the songs because now a lot of it can be synthesized
It's
and
all
it's
pre-
computerized technology.
Yeah.
Whereas then, you know, like Chicago had a whole
Yeah,
stage
there-
full of
there you go.
horns and whatever. So yeah.
Yeah.
And, you know, the
Amazing.
supergroups, they have their own sound.
Oh, Big Daddy, you finish her off.
1975, while vacationing on the Greek islands of Rhodes, Led Zeppelin lead singer Robert Plant and his family are badly injured in a car accident, forcing the cancellation of the upcoming U.S. tour. Doctors tell Plant he may never walk again, but of course he proved them wrong.
Them completely wrong on that
And,
one.
but
And thank God, because
yeah, 75. I mean, they were still young, young men.
they were peaking at
Yeah, they were
that point,
peaking
really.
at that point.
He was worried about
And,
his wife because she
Yeah.
really was injured in that car accident as well. Really.
I don't know what the time is, about 2, 3
it's about
minutes?
there.
We're right there. We got about 2 minutes left,
And,
and I got to shut her down too. So
RadioGTA.ca, FM108.ca are 2 online radio stations from the Air Radio Network. We also have community radio, of course,
yes,
for Halton Hills.
Halton Hills
And,
online. You can check it out anytime. You can check any of the stations out online. And if you're a 50s, 60s, 70s, I really recommend the FM 108.
Well, and we have we're really cleaning up, and more music, less talk coming in the fall for both
Perfect.
stations.
Perfect.
Because people
We
don't
talk
want to
enough
hear.
on this place.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
anyway.
they want to hear.
Nobody
the music.
wants to hear
Yeah,
the news
yeah.
other than the necessities of what they need.
Yeah, that's
The
why we
weather,
have.
that's it.
That's what we have
You
every
get it all
hour
on
on
your
all
phone
3
now,
stations. Actually, our network has grown. We've got news, weather, sports on all of our stations, up to date. We've got Big Daddy with the news, and you know, Leah, of course, is on local radio too. And we got a friend over here,
Rusty over there
Rusty
saying
over
hi.
there.
Yeah,
Rusty.
Rusty's just telling everybody have a good week.
Yeah.
All right, you have a
Thanks,
good
Rusty.
time this week. We'll see you next week. Don't forget the radio show on many radio stations around the world. Check the Top 40 Timeline Facebook group and jump right in there. There you go.
Have a great week. Be good.
Well, we're
Not
supposed to
too
say
good,
something
though.
about the world, aren't we? The world, what?
Uniting community worldwide.
There you go.
Have a great week, everybody. We'll catch you on the B-side.
Mwah.
And by the way, this is old school radio. They used to do this in the 30s and 40s on NBC. That's why we do it. It's because I'm a historian.
And he's old.
I'm old.
Yeah, we don't know.
Yeah. I haven't had sugar in
We're the
11 days.
babies. We're the babies.
I haven't had sugar in 11 days. Never mind. I'm doing well.
You are.
Peace.
See you later, everybody. Next week.